Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this episode of the Holistic Healing with Lorrie podcast. I'm your host, Lorrie Rivers of Lorrie Rivers Holistic, and today we're going to be talking about something you may not have realized is contributing to chronic symptoms and illness, and ultimately long-term health problems and difficulties in aging. And that's your skincare and cosmetics. So many of you do know about my own lifelong journey with health issues. And the thing that really opened my eyes to what an impact what we put on our skin can have on our health is when I tried out Tretinoin. Now, this is also known as Retin-A. It is a prescription product and it has similarities to retinol. They're in the same class. But what happened with using Tretinoin was within a week of using a very, very, very low percentage Tretinoin twice, I developed severe agoraphobia, severe depression, and we're talking to the point where I literally had to lock myself in my office to feel safe, and I could barely even speak to my honey, to my partner, and some other super weird symptoms that I can't remember right now. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. Now, what I realized once I worked out what was happening there and that it was as a result of the tretinoin is that it was very much linked to liver function. And if you are already having trouble with liver function and if you have chronic symptoms, then you already are having trouble with liver function. And even just if you are a human being or even an animal really living in the environment that we have today with so many toxins that we're being that we're absorbing and breathing in and eating every day, then we need to be so kind to our livers, right? And clearly tretinoin is not so super kind to the liver. It gives it more things that it has to be taken care of. So like a lot of you who are listening today, my body is super sensitive to toxins and it's a canary in the coal mine situation, right? So I know that if my body responds negatively to something, you can bet that whatever it's been exposed to, it's something that nobody wants in their body, right? Even if you don't have a negative response to something, if it's a toxin, those toxins build up over time. So again, even if you're not super sensitive like me, and like so many of my students and clients, I kind of specialize in that area. Please keep in mind that these toxic elements, they build up over time. And from that buildup, they do start to cause health problems. Unfortunately, most skincare products that are out there today are absolutely loaded with synthetic ingredients, many of them actually known to be harmful, and you really do not want to apply these products to your skin at all because your skin literally is like another mouth for you, right? It absorbs most of those ingredients into your body, including into the deepest layers of your skin and then all the way into your bloodstream. So it's basically like eating it, but without even the assistance of your digestive system to break those things down at least a little bit there, right? And today's cosmetics and skincare, what we consider to be skincare, really are a top little known cause of serious health issues. So in other words, we need to be careful about it, right? We are careful about, if you're watching this, then you already know some of the basics about how to be careful about what you eat, right? We want to eat whole foods. We want to not be eating fast food, 24/7. And especially, so we don't really want to apply those toxic skincare products anywhere on our bodies. But let's take a look at this area around your eyes. The skin around your eyes is the thinnest on your body, and it's right there in front of your brain, y'all. Right? So we want to be extra cautious about what cosmetics we're using and making sure that they are certified organic, that they don't have a bunch of crap in them. And I guarantee you that if it is a super low cost item, it's gonna have a bunch of toxic stuff in it. We're looking for products that are independently scrutinized and confirmed as free of the synthetic junk that is so common in most cosmetics. Same kind of thing with, your eye creams here. We need to be really careful. So the good news here is that your skin actually eats. And just like certain foods that you put into your mouth are highly nourishing, in the same way, certain ingredients that you feed your skin are highly nourishing, not only for your skin, but even for your body. And additionally, of course, can help your skin stay vibrant looking and taut and healthy. So we're going to go into some of the specific awesome components that you can use on your skin that are nourishing later in today's episode, in addition to some of the specific brands and products that I currently use myself and trust, and how can become your own health detective and learn the clues that are in ingredients that let you know whether a product that you're using or considering using is safe, or if it's fast food and it's going to end up causing you problems for your health in the future. So we really want to read those labels of your skincare products very closely. A lot of us are doing this already with food, so I teach people to take a look at your packages, your food packages. And in fact, to just straight up, hey, just shop from the produce aisle, shop from the meat department, and pretty much leave it at that. We want to stick with our whole foods. If you do happen to be getting something packaged every once in a while, I don't recommend packaged foods because they usually have added weird ingredients. But stick with the ones that have as few ingredients as possible and understand all the ingredients. So we're talking about the same thing with your skincare products. So, we've done such a good job of training ourselves how to do this and protecting ourselves when it comes to food, which is super awesome and really important. But so few people are doing this with their skincare products, and it's critically important, right? So remember my tretinoin story and how much of an effect that had on my body, and I was only putting it on my face. Yeah. So if I'm going to purchase something to put on my skin, I go to the ingredients label. I read what's in there, and I see, first of all, how many ingredients are there. The fewer the better. If it's a really long list, it might not be so good. And secondly, what the ingredients are, of course. One of the little known facts that we're going to talk about in a little bit here is that if water is in that ingredient, you need to be extra cautious. We're going to talk about why in just a second. You'd think that it would be great to have water in them, but actually it's a red flag. So the second thing to look at is the names of the products and the ingredients. So we're looking for things like shea butter and jojoba oil, or even beef tallow. If, grass-fed beef tallow, and some products have that, it's extremely good for the skin. Or does it have super long, multisyllabic names that are clearly chemicals that have obviously been constructed in a lab? So just like we have frankenfoods that are not really food, but actually just a vehicle to put toxins in your body, really. Foods with, those are foods with additives that are developed in a lab that our bodies just don't know what to do with. So again, we're overloading the liver with these things. We can also have, in a similar way, Franken skincare. So Frankenstein skincare, right? That has been created in a lab. And our body just doesn't know what to do with those things. Those things are straight up toxins. Now, sometimes it can be a little more complicated as far as the ingredients that are in even some of your healthy skincare products, because sometimes we do need to have a level of preservative or something to make a skincare product shelf stable. So there can be some things in there that you don't recognize. But in our healthy products, those things that maybe you don't recognize, they're not super bad for you, right? So I definitely suggest checking out the Skin Deep database. This is provided to us online by the Environmental Working Group, and we'll include a link to that for you for sure. And you can go there, you can type in a product or an ingredient name, and they have some great information about the safety of these ingredients. Yeah. Now, if you're in Europe, or I think also Australia has much stricter skincare requirements, right? In America, we are much less protected than in other areas of the world in regards to our skincare products. Our food industry is really regulated, though natural flavors, right, in foods, those are still made in labs. Those are just as bad as your artificial flavors. So there are ways that they get around that. But our skincare industry is even worse. So these companies who sell globally will put cheap ingredients into our American products that are super dangerous or potentially dangerous. They are often endocrine disrupting, and some of them, like fragrances, can even be carcinogenic, right? And these toxins that we are hoping are anti-aging and they're going to make us look glorious and, younger and all that stuff, they actually end up aging us in the long run, or in the short term even. These companies, they're not even allowed to put those chemicals or those types of ingredients into products that they're shipping to Australia or Europe, for example, right? So we as a consumer need to really be smart about this. We get to educate ourselves, which sometimes feels like a pain, but I honestly get really excited about it because I'm a nerd. Yeah, but we really want to understand what's in a product and to decide whether or not we want that on ourselves, on our family, on our kids, topically, remembering that anything that's topical is absorbed into the body, eventually into the bloodstream, and actually the body then has to deal with it. Again, without the assistance of the bile acids and things that are in the GI system. So let's talk a little bit more about the skin. There's still a widespread impression from what I notice with my students and my clients, and what I know I used to think as well, that our skin is tougher and that it's different than the other organs in our body. And of course it is different, but our skin is an organ as well, and it's not so tough that it doesn't absorb these things. So our skin is not like a shirt. We don't take it off at night and put it in the closet and it just lives there on its hanger. Our skin has a really complicated job, and it also is one of our most amazing detox vehicles, right? One of our drainage vehicles for our body. When we think about animals, they have hair and tough hides and other things that protect them. Our skin is not that way. Our skin is really kind of delicate. It can be a superpower for us, but when we put topicals on our skin, we are taking things into our body. We're absorbing whatever is in that topical. So I'm going to hit you with a statistic here. And that is that the average woman will put over 500 chemicals on her skin in a day, not a week, in a day. Now, 500 a day, that seems at first like a crazy number. But if you have skincare products, shampoos, other topicals that you're using from a drugstore, go to your bathroom and look at the ingredients. Look at the number of ingredients in there and all those products, even your hand soap. And then think about how many products do you put on your skin? Shampoo, conditioner, shaving cream, deodorant, facial moisturizer, body lotion, makeup, sunscreen, all sorts of things. And all of those can potentially have 20 to 50 chemical ingredients in them. So once you start adding them up, It's pretty easy to get to 500 or more different chemicals that you're putting on your skin and therefore in your body every day. And it's not just women, it's also men. And remembering that we're putting these on our children as well. So many of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, which means that they can impact your thyroid function, your hormone receptors, and really just mess up the whole hormone cascade within the body. Then also, we mentioned earlier that fragrance is very problematic most of the time. The term fragrance, when it's included in a list of ingredients, is actually a term that is protecting companies instead of consumers because fragrance is considered to be a trade secret in the US. So legally, that company does not have to disclose what the ingredients are that are in those fragrances. So there can be any one of over 4,000 chemicals in fragrance, many of which have been found to be carcinogenic. Just going to give you a second to let that sink in. Yeah. So our skin is really an organ that's working hard for us every day. It's helping the body to detoxify. It is taking in nutrients, right? It's taking in the sun. It's taking in and producing vitamin D for us. It's doing all these wonderful things for us. It is protecting us, to a certain degree from toxins that are on the outside. So why are we putting toxins on our skin? Yeah, and we want to make sure that we're not making it harder on our skin. And then, of course, ultimately the liver. So just remembering again that whatever we absorb through our skin goes into our bloodstream and into your system. So let's put super healthy things onto your skin. Yeah. So especially if you're buying lotion, you want to read your labels really well. Earlier, I told you that I was going to kind of tell you a secret about if water is an ingredient in your lotion. In the US, we really moisturize our skin mostly with lotions. And let's go back to your, I don't know, fifth grade science about what you learned about oil and water. So they don't mix, right? If you put them together, you're going to see them separate. So how is it that we're putting these two components into our lotions? There has to be something else that is coming in that allows us to cram together molecularly oil and water to make the lotion. So they have to use something called an emulsifier, which is typically chemicals, right? Then also, once you have water in a product, you need preservatives because otherwise the product's sitting on the shelf and it actually within days starts to grow mold and bacteria. Now, even aside from that, let's take a look at the types of oils that these larger companies are using. In all my heal programs, we teach about rancid fats and healing fats. These companies are using these rancid fats, right? The oils that they are using also, even aside from being rancid fats like seed oils and things like that, they're using mineral oils. So petroleum oil, petrolatum, all of that, those types of oils, that's a byproduct of the gasoline industry. So when we talk about our skin eating being another way that we bring things into the body, we're talking about eating gasoline industry byproducts. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we shouldn't be putting it on our skin either. You're not going to go and get a thing of Vaseline and start gulping it down. Therefore, we shouldn't be putting it on our bodies. Now, it's super cheap, right? And that's why it's used so often. So we've got these petroleum byproducts, then we've got the preservatives and the emulsifiers, and they're trying to do it, these companies are trying to do it in the way that gives them the most money. So they're doing it super cheaply, and all that stuff is really bad for us. So these flags, these red flags that we're talking about here, you can go and take a look in the Skin Deep database that I talked about earlier, that environmental working group database that we're going to link to. And you're going to see that a lot of the ingredients in what you probably already have, even some of the higher end products, right? That a lot of your retinol products and a lot of your moisturizers, again, right? They're going to have these emulsifiers and these preservatives. So that kind of standard lotion that's out there is really not a good thing. There are much better options. You could look for a smaller company that is dedicated to making healthy products with healthy ingredients. Your oils will be things like beef tallow that I mentioned earlier, or lanolin, which comes from sheep's wool, or jojoba, or coconut, or cocoa butter, not that petroleum. And then there are also better options for emulsifiers and more natural preservatives that will help to keep that product shelf stable without creating a toxic lotion that you're putting on yourself. And then another option for you, if you're looking for cost-friendly options, is to buy your oil and water-based products separately. We actually keep, in my house, we keep small containers of grass-fed beef tallow around during the winter to put on dry spots, as well as lanolin. Lanolin is really great for the face. It helps with wrinkles and other things. It's very nourishing. Right. And yeah, so you would start off with a nice healthy soap. We use Dr. Bronner's soaps even on our face. And then if we're talking, so we just talked about some more oil-based products that I like to use. And then for a more water-based product, aloe vera gel. Right? I think most of us have heard of the aloe plant. We know to use it for sunburns, but it's also amazing for collagen production and is water-based. So you can put that aloe on. You just want to be careful about the brand that you're using, and I'll talk more about that in just a bit here too. You can also use something called hydrosol. So hydrosol is made in the process of making essential oils, actually, and it's really kind of a water-infused tea of whatever plant they're making. So you can have lavender hydrosol, rosemary hydrosol, rose hydrosol, and those are really lovely for skin. Yeah, and again, going back to the oil products, you can do these body butters, and they have really fun pre-made body butters, or you can make your own. That's a lot of fun as well. Yeah, so, bottom line, I really don't recommend that people get their skincare products at the drugstore, because those companies are just trying to get cheap products out there. And it's usually a bunch of crap. I would say it's even worse than fast food, because those are like active toxins that you're putting on your skin with those. Very high levels of chemicals that you don't want on your skin or your family's skin.